What's going on, dudes and dudettes? Yes, it's been a while. Obviously, get the story out of the way. So yes, I did contract COVID secondhand, but yes, I did get it. Wasn't too bad. Pretty much had like regular fevers and headaches and coughing. It didn't get worse until after a couple of days. I couldn't really like keep any food down or even really eat anything. So I ended up going to the ER. They decided to keep me for like 4 or 5 days, I believe it was, be able to get this some type of IV in me, and it kept it from going into my lungs and giving me pneumonia, which was nice. And even to this day, they made me come home with like oxygen and stuff, and that pretty much, I only used that for like the first couple days, and once I realized I can sleep without it and I don't really get winded or anything like that, and I just felt better and better every single day, then not using it. So hopefully they'll be able to pick it up at some point, the machine, and give it to somebody who really needs it. But yeah, definitely sucks. Definitely thinking about getting some other stuff to prevent this, but you never know. But yeah, it's not a cool thing to go through, but definitely on the better half. I know for some reason, like some parts of my skin felt like it was as if I had like a sunburn and peeling, which I've never heard of with COVID or made any sense, but hopefully it doesn't show up here. So let's get into this video. Hopefully it's not long. It's been a while, but try to update you on most of my teams since I've been gone. So earlier today, actually, Caleb Foster, a 5-star point guard in the 2023 basketball class, committed to Duke. So that's pretty good thing right there, where Duke is getting some talented guys in the future for Coach John Shire, who was recently named the head coach. So that's always nice to see. Definitely happy about that. He's like the number 13 overall guy, so he must be pretty talented. Then even today, USC basketball got a 5-star player, a center. Let me try to get his name correct. I believe it's Vince Iwuchu Kawu. I haven't heard it been said out, but hopefully that's how you say his last name. He's definitely one of the more talented centers, and he's a number 12 overall prospect coming into college next season. So they definitely got a good one, I think. And of course, with the whole every day it seems like they're throwing out names for the head coaching job at USC, but definitely I like a lot of the names that keep coming up are Urban Meyer, James Franklin from Penn State. They both have denied it. But even a guy who I never thought would, but they said that Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, Adam Schefter, who's like the main top newsbreaker for the NFL, said that USC would be a job he would leave the NFL for and take the head coaching position. So, I mean, to get one of the top offensive coordinators who is very picky, because the last 2 years he's had the opportunity to coach many teams and he still just went back to the Chiefs because it's a better situation. But he is an LA guy. He coached at Colorado and UCLA, I believe, as well. So I think having the first official black coach at USC in its history would be pretty awesome if it was him, because he could be a great recruiter from what I hear, and obviously he could attract the best offensive players in the country. So I'm kind of hoping for him, but he also denied the rumors as well, but we'll see. Then yes, the LA Chargers, they beat the Washington football team 20-16 last Sunday. It's a pretty okay win. It was going down to the wire once again, like all Chargers games, but luckily they were able to pull it out. Pretty impressed still with Justin Herbert. Just need a couple more touchdowns from him. Hopefully they'll be able to do more scoring against the Cowboys, even though that could be a tough game as well this next Sunday coming up. But not bad to get a W against a playoff team last year in Washington, and a defense that's considered top 5 in the league. So I'm happy about that. Then yes, USC and LSU for football have decided to schedule each other in the year 2024 to open that season, and they're going to be playing at, I think it's called Allegiant Stadium. I forget what the Raiders call their stadium, but it'll be the first game in Vegas for USC that year. And it's a big time matchup. Obviously, Clay Helton, who scheduled that game, won't be there, and I don't think Ed Orgeron, if he does have another bad season before that season, I don't think he'll be at LSU either. But it's going to be a pretty big game, Pac-12 versus the SEC. Hopefully USC can pull it out and get a good enough quarterback at that time, or a good enough player, so that should be pretty cool. Then ex-USC wide receiver Brew McCoy, who was put off the team because he had those allegations against him, and found out that he won't be facing any charges from the district attorney or anything like that. And I almost thought I saw him in practices and during the first couple of games, because I saw the number 14, which is his number, but that was actually the freshman wide receiver Joseph Manjack wearing that jersey, and apparently he still hasn't been put back onto the team. I guess it's just disciplinary issues. Don't know, I haven't heard if he's transferred or looking to go anywhere else, but yeah, it's a fluid situation, as they say. Then, yes, the LA Lakers made a couple of moves. They signed Rondo once he got bought out, which is cool, an ex-Laker who was there a couple years ago when they won the title, so hopefully he can help them out on the bench when Russ goes out. And then they also signed ex-Clipper great DeAndre Jordan at the center position, which I never thought DeAndre would be in a Lakers uniform. It looks pretty weird when he's practicing right now, but definitely glad to have a more athletic type of center than Marc Gasol. And speaking of Marc Gasol, he was actually traded back to the Grizzlies, his first team, for, I think the Lakers sent like a future second round pick and some money, and they got back like an Asian player, I forget his name, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna release him. But actually, I think they only made this move because it saves them $10 million in the luxury tax at the end of the year, so they won't have to pay that. So not bad. And Gasol actually gets to either retire with the team that he started with, or, which I think what he's most likely going to do is stay home in Spain right now, at least for this year, and see what happens the year after. So good luck to him. Then, yeah, speaking of USC football, so yeah, really quickly, they beat San Jose State, and I believe the final score was 30-7. That was like my first night in the hospital, but when I was watching the game, it's like, yeah, they won, they scored 30 points, but for most of the game, the score was like 13-7, something like that, and they just got a couple of lucky breaks, lucky late scores against a crappier team. Even though San Jose State was a pretty good team last year, they almost won their conference, or they're like the second team, but still, they should have handled that team a lot better. And I knew it was going to be kind of shaky going into Stanford, because that second game with Stanford is always either USC wins by 10 to 20 points or Stanford ends up winning a close game. So it's back and forth. USC has been winning lately, and it didn't happen. They lost by like, I think it was like 42-28. The last time I looked, it was like 42-13. I stopped watching, and USC got a couple of those late scores. We all know the head coach got fired because of that performance, and it was really bad because they could have switched out guys at certain points. A couple of the corners made some bad plays. They just kept getting eaten up, and especially from a guy who went to school out here in Corona Centennial, the quarterback for Stanford. He had a lot of lucky plays, in my opinion, but he made them, and they were able to beat USC, so it sucked. Clay Helton got fired, and even as a result of that, USC was knocked out of the top 25. I think they were like 14 or 15, but because of how bad that loss looked, they were just automatically taken out. So they get Washington State on the road this weekend, or actually tomorrow, but it should be a win. It's like at least a 10-point victory according to betting odds, but Washington State, especially up there, is a weird team when it comes to USC, and there might be some rain. There might not be. It is an early game, like 12:30 in the afternoon, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, they better win this game because they just got their coach fired, so the players should be feeling pretty bad about themselves. And then the Chargers signed a wide receiver, Maurice Ffrench, to their practice squad. He was released from Kansas City. He looks like he's more of like a returner than a regular wide receiver, so maybe that's why they signed him, because I know Nasir Adderley, who was returning kicks for them, it hasn't been lately, and they've been like rotating guys a lot, so maybe this guy is more dependable. We'll see. Then ex-USC linebacker Michael Hutchins, who was at the college right now as a quality control analyst. He's like an ex-coach, like a little coach on the team, not a main coach. But once Dante Williams was named the head coach, he promoted Michael Hutchins to an associate head coach for the linebackers, which is pretty cool for him. I know he played linebacker when he was at USC. He was a pretty good player, but yeah, he came back pretty quickly, guys. I guess he couldn't make it in the NFL, but looks like a pretty good, solid coach if he was promoted like that. So congrats to him. Then ex-USC basketball player Jordan McLaughlin signed a new deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's good for him. Congrats. Hopefully he can, you know, get some more playing time. He deserves it. Then the Lakers added John Lucas III to their coaching staff. I don't know if they need to add any more, but yeah, I guess that was a spot for Jared Dudley, who's at Dallas right now. John Lucas, I only remember him when LeBron like literally jumped over him and dunked on him when LeBron was in Miami. But I think he's gotten some head coaching. I know he's been a coach for a while, so we'll see what he can do. And then, yes, I forgot to mention another 4-star shooting guard committed to Duke the other day in the name of Jaden Schutz. I believe that's how you say his last name. So he must be a pretty good sharp shooter from out there. Another talented player coming in the class of 2022 when Coach Shire takes over next season. So that'll be pretty interesting. Then the incoming quarterback for USC, Devin Brown, has been jumping up the charts like crazy. I mean, he was recently put into the like top 100 of ESPN or whatever rankings for high school kids. And I know he was named to like the All-American Bowl as well, happening early next year. So he's been getting a lot of recognition. Definitely looks like a more talented player as a 3-star in his junior year coming in to USC than Keaton Slovis was, but we'll see. Definitely a lot of high hopes for this guy. Then ex-Duke player Jahlil Okafor was traded from Detroit to Brooklyn, which seemed like a nice consolation prize. He once played for Brooklyn as well, but it looked like he could get a ring or at least get to the finals this next season coming up. But I think they released him. I think that's what happened, which sucks for him. Hopefully he'll be able to get on a team soon. But yeah, that sucks that he got released. Then ex-USC linebacker Jordan Iosefa. He's been trying to make a comeback the past 2 years at USC. Every single time he's gotten close to the season, he has to stay out because of medical issues, and sadly he had to medically retire the other day. So it sucks, but I know he was, according to Helton at the time, he was helping out the linebackers a lot. So maybe he could become a control quality analyst or whatever they call that, or an associate coach at some point for a linebacker. So hopefully that will help him out. Then, of course, Bryan Bulaga, a guy who I thought he was too old once the Chargers signed him to be their right tackle from Green Bay, and he missed a lot of time last year, and in this offseason he's been having a lot of back issues and stuff. And of course now he's been put on IR, and the team has signed guard/tackle Michael Schofield, who I believe they had signed last year as well as a backup. But Storm Norton was named the starting right tackle, which says a lot because they drafted a guy a few years back in Trey Pipkins in the 3rd round from a Division III school, and that dude apparently still hasn't been able to get on the field for some reason, even though he's on the team. So I don't get why you have him. Even Storm Norton was a guy who played in like the XFL or whatever that secondary league was, and he's starting for them. So got to get rid of Pipkins, in my opinion. Then to end on some miscellaneous news, yes, while I was in the hospital, Angels and Airwaves did release a new song and music video for their song Spellbound. If you just listen to the song musically or instrumentally, whatever, I think it's a pretty good song. The lyrics are kind of weird. Like, I don't want to say what they are, but yeah, it's a way different sounding Angels and Airwaves or even Tom DeLonge song that I've even heard. But I still think it's a pretty good song. I'd still listen to it. And the beat kind of stays in your head as well. I think it's a good beat. So yeah, check it out if you want. Even check out the video. It looks like they're in a strip club with a bunch of lasers, so you'll see some chicks in lingerie if that's what you want. But yes, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Bye, Don.